Okay. Tonight we are going to look into how to create pivot tables and analyze trends, analyzing our data. So it is at this point in data analysis with a spreadsheet that a data analyst can start analyzing data. After having cleaned the data, you should be able to carry out analysis on the data. So pivot table is like a dashboard. You create a dashboard where you analyze the data, see the data trend, and manipulate the data to get better view about the data without kind of removing any value from that data set. So that is what we are going to do. So as a matter of fact, you see what the technology is doing today. Most of the applications you see today, they have inbuilt that dashboard from the back end where the admin can monitor sales data or like all these e-commerce applications you see, they all have dashboard at the behind the scene. And it's from these they get the concept of building dashboard from this pivot table. That's where they get the concept of building dashboard to analyze data. So once they build those dashboard, it's connected to the data sets directly, and from the data set database, you can visualize your data. So, but pivot table is still so much in existence, so we are not going to overlook it. As a matter of fact, a lot of companies are still using pivot table to understand their data set. So let's get started. So pivot tables are one of the most powerful features in spreadsheet, designed to help you summarize, analyze, and explore large data set quickly. They allow you to transform raw data into a meaningful insight by reorganizing and summarizing it without altering the original data set. So we are going to look at how to create pivot tables and how to analyze data trend from the pivot table. We are going to start by using this data set. You know, by the time we've done all these things, by tomorrow, we should be looking into food tracker data sets where we are going to be analyzing. That's where we are going to be applying all the things we'll be learning. So let's first get this table into the spreadsheet where we want to build these pivot tables. And we probably have just step by step on how to do that. So we've added this data into the table, added this data into our spreadsheet. So the first thing is to highlight this data and then insert pivot table using this insert. So here is, we have to highlight the data or the whole data set and insert a pivot table. From here, we can start building our dashboard. So this data is now highlighted. This is the insert we're talking about. This insert, click on insert, you go down, you see pivot table. If you go down, you see pivot table. Now we click on that. It's going to say existing sheets, meaning that we want the pivot table on this particular sheet. But we don't want it because we won't have enough room to create our pivot table. So we need a new sheet. That's where we are going to, the data will be here, but we are going to be building it on a new sheet. So we are going to take this pre-selected sheet and create. And then we'll create. And that is our table here. So that is the pivot table. Now you see this is the pivot table we are working on here. This is the sheet. And this, I'm going to delete this particular pivot table here. And delete this one. Yep. Yeah, so now we have our original sheet here. This is the data we're working. So we can see here, we have two sheets here we're working on. So one is the data set, one is the pivot table. Now we have created a pivot table, but you can see the pivot table is blank. Nothing is happening here. So we have to start dragging columns and rows. We're going to be dragging rows so that they will start showing on this pivot table. These are various rows here. We're going to be dragging them to this. So like from our guide here, it says in the pivot table 82, we have row drag. And once you drag the row to the row here, we drag them to the regions, all these values to the regions, it should be able to show us the value. It started showing on our pivot table. But if we are not dragging them there, it cannot show. So this is the various items we are going to be dragging on this. You see here, row, column, value, filter. So the first thing we are going to drag here, we are going to drag the region and bring the region here. And you see we have a region, and we'll have to drag the salesperson to the row. We're bringing them under the row. Here, that's it. So we come back here, come another, bring it here again. So you can see this is kind of taking shape. Our our pivot table is beginning to show information. We equally need to drag the date into the row. Date. So you can see the date here. But I want the date to be the first thing to appear before the region. So I have to take it up. I will take it up here. And you see the date is now appearing before the region and the salesperson. And then the next is this amount. We need to put it on the value, because this is the sales value. And we come here, it says sales amount, and we'll bring it to the value. And here, so there's nothing here because we've not added the product. So we go to the products, bring the products to the under the salesperson products, and yeah. So and this value here is says by, we have to change it to sum, and by sum, and we can see here that is the total sales pay. See it here. So this is the total sales. Pay all the region. So we can equal, now we have data showing in our dashboard. Is now to use this to analyze trend by trend, or to understand the number of sales per region or the salesperson. And then we can equally use it to understand the averages. So now if we want to understand the average, this is the sum of all these. If we want to understand the average, all we need to do is we can here as well, this sales amount. But let's look at our lesson note because it's organized so that we'll understand it the way I planned it. So the first thing is we've been able to understand the total sales. and that is 200 per every salesperson. So we've created this here. Now, the next thing we want to understand is to analyze the trend. Analyzing the trend by date, grouping them by month. So the first thing we have to do is to analyze by date. So to analyze by date, that is the next thing before we analyze, start filter and other things. So let's not model because I quite get it organized for simpler understanding. So the first thing we need to do is to analyze by date. So let's get it done. To analyze by date, we need to put it in months because you see our date is not captured on month or year. So that is what we need to do. You see the date we have here, we need to understand them by month. So that is so group by once you should be able to okay. Yeah, so we have to, from here, this is it. We have to be able to group by, let's say, by month. Let's say by month. So that we understand the sales by month. So now you can see it has taken away that our original date format. So this will help us to understand sales by month. That's it here. So with this, we should be able to understand sales by, under this, we can see how much for this month. And that is it. We can understand the trend by month. Then the next thing we need to do is to understand the data by filter. So what we need to do is to drag the region into the filter, and we should be able to filter by region. Now we see filter here. There's nothing in this filter. So we should be able to understand by filtering cells by region. At this moment, it's difficult to understand what a region have, or what the cells per region, because we cannot filter. So to do that, this is region. We drag this here down to this region. So now from the region, if we want to understand cell by region, because we've added filter here, we've added region to filter, we should be able to filter cells by region through this drop down. Click on here, you see all the here. If we clear on this, everything will be gone. But see, if we want to understand the cells by maybe only not, you see I've cleared everything. I just selected only one here, and then I click OK. You see, it's only cells by not that we have here. So this helps us to select the cells by not, the person here, and total cells by not. So let me, so yeah, okay, Ephraim, you are raising your hand.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
From my own end, I don't know. I've tried everything. Your screen is too small. I'm not following I'm not seeing the actions you are performing there. It's not showing well here. I don't understand whether everybody's seeing that way.
Are you using a phone or using a laptop?
I'm using laptop.
Okay. But the previously has it been showing well on your end before?
The last two lectures was also like this. The only place that shows well is when you now turn to the lecture, the note page. That one shows well, but in the Excel worksheet, sorry, in that Google sheet, both the fonts and the positions of the scheme here, the Excel sheet calculation is at the left here, and most of the age here are being covered. So that is not to my. I don't know if every other person is seeing it that way.
Okay, screenshot it and send it to me. I will look at it to find out what's the problem.
I think the problem is from the setting from his computer. Though I'm using a desktop, everything is very clear. I can see the edges clearly. Maybe when he screenshots, you will know, but it might be from the setting of his display.
Yeah, because I've not changed anything on my laptop, and I'll be using this laptop for a long time. As a matter of fact, I'll be teaching with this laptop since the past 5 years.
Or let him try to zoom the lecture. You can zoom it more bigger so that you can enter, you can see it well if it's not seeing it well.
You know, if you can see here, a lot of, we opened a lot of, you see here, there's a lot of small windows open here. You like, I see pivot table editor is open here. This one is open here. And we plan to, so once we try to zoom, let's zoom and you see what I'm talking about.
No, so I'm not referring to you, I'm referring to already Ephraim.
Okay, yes, but Ephraim, when you are watching the video, is it like the recorded classes? Is it appearing normal?
Yes. In the ones you upload, is different from the one in the class here.
Okay, then it means it's from your end. Maybe, like I said, screenshot and send to me, and I will review it later. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that.
All right, all right.
Yeah. So let's carry on. So now, if you want to understand cells by region, all you need to do is bring this region into filter, and you should be able to see how much they've made by region. And let's see again, if we want to filter more, let's say maybe by, we add this salesperson into the filter as well. Then if we want to understand by region and by a particular person, so let's say John, and let's see. So you can see we've used this filter to understand sales by John and by region. So, and select all, and go back to region and select all. So now we can see we've got filter here, and how we can use filter to narrow down if we want to understand what is happening per region, what is happening per salesperson, and this is total sales. So that is it. Then if we want to have multiple values, understand this is the value is the figure, the amount. So we need to we've been able to understand how to use filter. These are the key things we need to understand here using filter. So you see how we can add filtered by region, filter by salesperson, and it's giving us different values. Now, we want to understand values. We can see we already have, we can use sum, count, average in values. We only have one value in our dashboard. So what if we want multiple values? Multiple values, like we can get the total sales, we can get the average sales, and things like that. So let's look at that. Remind you that where the magic is happening is on this pivot table editor. That is where you are controlling what is happening on this dash. This is what we call dashboard. This particular section, pivot table, is what we call dashboard. So where we control everything that's happening on this dashboard is from this pivot table editor. Okay, you cannot manipulate anything directly on this dashboard. Any manipulation you want to make will come from this editor. That's where you edit what is coming up here and what is the way it should appear. Okay, we want to see, you see value here. The value here is just the sum. And the sum we have here is, for instance, this is total sell. Okay, let's see if we can get more values. And under value, this is value, we have only cells. So we can get more values by adding another sales amount and select different value, sub value within the this value system. So the sales amount here, we already have sales amount. I'm going to bring this sales amount again, and I'll add it here again. So now this sales amount, I want to select, I want to have the total and the average. And all I need to do is here, I will select the average sales. So now we have average sales, and some of these ones here have error. But there's no value on this. So but on this, the average here is 400. And let's this and see. Okay. So this value here, region, is not. Okay. Let me get our cells. Okay. So the point here, I don't know if any of you is noticing the error here. This under salesperson here, we have these people, and under it again we have salesperson. So which salesperson is not supposed to appear under salesperson? It should be person's name, and that is why we're having this error here. So it shouldn't be. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you guys getting me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Let's get it started again. Okay, the first thing we did is to get the region under this row, and then we get the date here, and then we get the salesperson. So let's check the data here, why this salesperson is appearing here. Okay. So that is the problem here. Can you guys see where the problem lies? Can anybody show me, can anybody tell me where we are getting errors? Can anybody try? Can anyone try? If you notice, when we are trying to analyze our data, we are getting errors at some point. And that is what I'm trying to find out, why we are getting errors. Okay, we don't have time. Let's just go straight to the point. Look at here.
Hello, sir.
We have double data.
Region, double everything, double date.
Okay, you see here, you see this. That is what we have a data duplication here. And that is why we're getting error in our analysis. So that is why it's good to clean data cleaning. You see the importance of data cleaning? So that is the importance of data cleaning. So all we need to do is we delete this and we should be able to so let's go back to our table and see here. You see that is gone now. So that is the reason when we're analyzing, at some point we start getting errors because we have data duplication. So that is very important lesson. Why is important to clean our data? So I hope that makes sense. You know, so okay, then let's add value. Value is the sales amount, and this is how our data set should be without this duplication. Then we want to filter. We want to understand the sales by region. We drag this to filter. And we should be able, we've done that before, we should be able to see sales by, let's say, North, and that's only North, and okay, that is it. So we can equally, we said equally, we can equally filter by salesperson. So, and from there, we can understand how much it says a person. Here we have, let's say, John. That is, this is John's sales. And this is date. We need to change this date to month. So come over here and go to dates. Here, create pivot date group. We change by month, change it to month. So we'll be able to change it to. So that is how it should be. And again, let's take it back to, let's select everybody, and so this is where we are when we started getting errors. So we wanted to have multiple values. Like this is total cell. I want to see the average cell. So that is where we are when we, so what we need to do is to get more cells. Cells amount to the value. We already have one cells, one value, cells amount under this value is total cells. We want to have average cells. So we'll come here, we'll drag this and under this so that we can have average cell, or we can put it on top of this. And now we can see we have you see total cell, total cell. So we want to be total cell and we want to be average cell. So this one we have to change this one to average cell. Right, average. You see here we have the average cells is 400 and the total cells is this. So under this, so that is how we can have different values within this. We can equally add another one and call it count, maybe number of cells, maybe per month. And if we want to do that, we can bring another value in our, this is the value. So we can add another thing within the value here, and that is it. So that is how we can use pivot table to analyze, understand average cell per person, average cell per month, or per region. So once we can use this value, we can use this filter to understand the number of cells per region. Let's see, number of cells. The West. So under West, that is it. That's Carol, that is only one cells. And if we have a large data cell, that makes life easy for us. And so all we need to do is just play around this and we'll get different values and different results. This is giving us an insight into this data set. The data set we're analyzing is on this sheet 1. That is the main, that this is what we're analyzing, trying to understand. And this is our dashboard where we're analyzing all this. So just okay. Now we've been able to understand both values, single value and multiple value. Then the next thing we have to do is to do this. Use pivot table to do visualization by trend. So to do that, we need to insert charts in our in our pivot table here. So click on here and we insert charts. So this is the chart here. From this chart, we can understand this further. So with this chart now, we can have visualize this. From here, we can see the sales by January under this chart. Let's get this chart where we can see it better. So now we can see a better view of these charts. We see January sales. We see this slide. You can see this will give us more visibility of this. This is the grand total, and this is the average grand total. So from here we can see that when we have the highest sale is on the month of February. Here you see it here. That is on February. That is followed by on these dates on January, and so that is all we can see from here. So this is January, and this is February, and this is March. So So that is how we can equally add charts in our pivot table to understand further or give us more visibility of what we have on the pivot table. So and we can start so from the chart editor here, we can, because this is want to see other charts we can get, if we can get like pie charts. Okay. So, so from the chart editor here, that's where we can select different types of charts we want to analyze here. So with this, we can use this to add different types of charts to have more visibility of what is going on in our cells. I'll capture different types of and so now we can see we have this in a chart where we can have different view. We can equally use this table to understand the data more especially using filter. We can use filter to understand by region. We can use filter to understand by salesperson. And we can use filter to understand sales by month. We want to understand sales by month, we can use filter, and that is it. I don't know if we have any question. We can ask our question at this point. Hello. Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, it's a bit technical on my side, but I know if I practice it, I will get used to it. So the area I'm looking at, the insert you did on the chart, all of them you did it on one page. Is it possible to have another sheet to have separate chart on it, or is it's compulsory that you have all your charts on one page on the pivotal table sheet?
I don't think let's just create another page and see. Mm, is I don't think it's possible because there is no this the data we need to visualize need to it's not you don't have any data, so it should be on the same page. So the only thing is we can actually come down within, for instance, here we can scroll down, create this chart below this table so that we can have enough room to like this one can come down here with more, and then this one is can drag it down. So This one, all the charts, you can so for me, that's the only way we can have a better look of different charts within the same table. But trying to create a chart on another is, I don't think it's going to work.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. To be honest, I've not tried it. I've always been doing my work on the same page. You know, all my analysis are like this one. Once you create a table, I'll have a pivot table like this. Underneath, you can start creating a chart. You can, like this one, you can call it a name and create a chart. You can come down again, create another, maybe like average amount, you create it. So that even if you are analyzing, if you have stakeholders, you want to use this to educate or analyzing, after telling them what's going on within the pivot table, then you can come back as we are scrolling, we're analyzing on this. You can have as many charts as you want. Mind you, you can have more than one pivot table as well. So, but let's first, because I know it's going to be technical a bit for some of you, but let's get started with pivot table. Once we be able to create pivot table and be able to play around with pivot table, so all these things are not so difficult. The main thing I want you to understand is dragging all these values here, or let's say rows or columns here, into these various places here. All we use here is row. We will drag them here, and we are dragging them within the row, and yeah, as you can see, value. So first, try to practice it, and during the filter, you see we can add more than 2 items within the filter. Like in this filter, we've add region, we've add salesperson. We can equally add months within the date here for us to understand the number of sales within the month or things like that. So that is the first thing I want us to get to start with these basics, then how to create a pivot table and add all this. Then we can get a bit advanced when we get comfortable with all this. And to insert a chart, all we need is to highlight the table, and then we'll go to insert and click insert, and we'll have chart. And then if we want to play around with the chart have all the charts. We've got what we call chart editor. Just like table here, I've got table editor. The chart itself have chart editor. From the chart editor, you should be able to, from the chart editor, you should be able to select different and customize your chart the way you want it. So, yeah. And different, this is chart editor, just like table editor. So you should be able to customize, you should be able to, you set it up and customize it the way you want it. This is pie chart. You can select, you have under this type of chart, you can select any kind of chart. You see column, we have line chart, we have area charts. You select the chart that will help you to give some chart like this might not be relevant. Some chart like this depends on the kind of analysis you are conducting will determine the chart. But charts for table like this, analyzing cells with this kind of, we know it's better to use simple chart like bar charts, pie charts, and so some of these might not really be good, but we can try them out to see which chart best represents your analysis or where your table will come out more visually appealing and people will understand. The main thing is that you are trying to help your audience or the stakeholders to understand, have better insight of what is going on in the data set you are trying to analyze. Joseph, sorry, I'm not ignoring you.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Okay.
Filtering and the slides are they the same in data analysis?
What? Can you?
And slide. Can you hear me?
You are breaking.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you when you ask. Can I hear? But yeah, you can go on with your question.
I said in data analysis, it's filtering and slides.
Yes, filtering and slice is a bit the same, but in filtering, you can use the filtering to analyze or based on, but slice is like cutting out maybe like creating different tables. They are not really the same thing, but they are similar. You can see the way we are using filtering here. Filtering will help you to select a particular value, to have more insight based on a particular value or a particular region or a particular item.
Okay. My second question is, for instance, now if you have double sheets that you need to work on, how can you merge two of them together, or if there are many, something like 2 to 3 or more, how can you be able to merge two of them together to analyze it?
Double what?
Double sheeting.
I think you're asking an important question, but I can't capture you. I can't hear you. Can anyone please, who is hearing me very well, because from my end, you can see network.
He's breaking. I can't even hear him.
Okay, you can drop it on the chat.
So maybe it's talking about different data set, like the one you have on the pivotal table now. If you now have like maybe a different table like that on one sheet.
Of course, if you want to merge two data sets, then they have to become one data set before you start. That's what it will boil down to data cleaning. You have to make sure that whichever data you combine it and make sure that it becomes one data set before you start analyzing it. You cannot start analyzing two tables, two data sets, getting result and merging them. You must have merged them as it become one data set before you start performing analysis on that data set. Mind you, a data set is like a database. You know, it's like you trying to analyze two databases at the same time and getting it's not going to work because they are two different entities. So for you to work on them together, it must become one data set before you can work on them. So that is the answer to that. If you want two or three data sets, first if you can combine them, you combine them to become one data set. And then, for instance, let me give you an instance now. You have a data set about sales in November in one sheet. And then you have another sales. You know that so many of us here we use to get bank statements for different months. Are you getting that? So if you want to, for instance, you want to analyze your bank statement for 1 year or the same for 1 year, you can capture data for different months in different data sets before you can analyze and get the annual. Then you have to merge all these data sets to become one data set, become an annual data set, no longer monthly data set. That way you can perform analysis on that annual data set. You know, but at the moment when they are scattered, you cannot analyze them at the same time. Of course, you see the way we are doing it. The only way you can do that is like maybe advanced programming, like R programming or Python programming. You can use advanced programming to, you know, query or analyze different. It can be possible, but not with something like spreadsheets. So spreadsheets cannot give you that kind of answer. Only way you can achieve that is to merge the data sets first. It become one data set. Like I said, we can merge different months data sets to become an annual data set. Maybe you can merge 1 year or different years of data sets together. Maybe it can become like, let's say, 10 years data sets. Then you can perform analysis on that. That is a very large data set. You can perform analysis on that kind of large data set. But you cannot perform analysis. You have a 1 year data set, another year data set, another year data set in different sheets and start performing analysis on all of them together. It's not going to work in Excel or in a spreadsheet. Are you getting that? Joseph or Alex?
Yes, sir.
I hope you guys captured what I said. I responded to that.
Yes, sir.
So it's possible. It's possible, but it has to be merged. You need to combine it to become one data set before you can perform analysis, as long as spreadsheet is concerned. But if you are using advanced, like R programming or Python, it's possible, because for me, there's nothing Python cannot do. Python have the capacity to do numerous things, you know. So I'll send the link you sent here, but you see, I don't download any link like this to my system. So if you can capture it in a kind of a screenshot different data sets, then that will be better. But I cannot, you send me a link, I don't follow links. That is a policy based on security issues. I don't follow any link. So thank you guys. Let's do some practice first, and let's see where we are struggling, and we'll talk about it. So that is it. And so
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for the information and the class. We appreciate.
it's like some of you are feeling, it's not difficult. It's all about practicing. Let's do some practice first, because this is where this pivot table, this is where we're coming to the end of data analysis with spreadsheet Excel. This is where, so the next thing is just to try different type of like analyzing more larger data sets using this pivot table. It cannot go beyond pivot table and the analysis. This is where the analysis starts for us. So let's get this basic one, then we'll then try to dive into more larger data sets using this format as well. And if we can do this, then next week we'll be thinking of proceeding to another thing. Maybe we can move to Power BI, or we'll check which one we'll have to do first, either Power BI or Tableau or SQL. But for now, we don't have any more work. All you have is to start analyzing company data sets, which we are going to be using for our work placement on this particular Excel. So let's try to, I'll try to upload this as soon as possible so that we can be able to try out something before the next class.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Oh, thank you. I will just look at.
Good night, sir. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night, everyone.